Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another video. The Les Paul Jr. Tribute DC 2019 was one of my favorite guitars that I tried last year. In fact, it won Most Surprising for my end of year awards. I came in expecting, I'll be honest, mediocrity, and instead I found a proper American Gibson combined with absolute minimalism. The main complaint, though, in the comments was that it wasn't versatile enough. It only had one pickup. Well, Gibson heard that feedback, and so while they've kept the single pickup Les Paul Jr. Tribute DC for the new relaunch, they've also added the Les Paul Special Tribute DC. The only difference on paper between the two, you've guessed it, a second P90 in the neck position. This is the first Gibson I've played from the James Curley era, and it's one of only two out of the current lineup that comes in at under $1,000. So, how's Gibson done with this one? Let's take a closer look. And before we get into the review, I want to give a shout out to Mick Brayshaw and the rest of the patrons for making what I do possible. You guys are fucking awesome. If you like what I do with the demos and reviews, you can support me as well and get bonus perks through the link below. And with that, let's get into the video. So the build specs are exactly the same as the Les Paul Jr. Tribute DC. We've got a flat top mahogany body that measures 1.5 inches thick. We've got a set slim taper maple neck and a 22 fret rosewood fingerboard. This special comes in the same 4 finishes as the Junior. You've got worn brown, worn ebony, the worn cherry I had for the last video, and in my opinion, the best one, which I've managed to snag for this video, is worn blue. Last year, everything but red were special finishes, limited to certain retailers, but now all 4 are standard. The entire body, as well as the back of the neck and headstock, have been stained this dark blue, which, man, it just looks so good. There's something about these satin open pore finishes that just feels incredible to the touch. Whether you're a fan of the Gibson double cut shape or not, you have to admire how good they've made what is essentially just a solid shaped slab of mahogany look. A big focus of the new leadership team has been on QC, and if this guitar is any indication, the results are positive. For years, Gibson QC has been the online guitar community's punching bag. And to be fair, they kinda deserved it. Yeah, they do produce a shitload of guitars every year, but if you're charging those prices, they have to be good, and a lot of them were not. I've talked about it before, but in an interview with Toman, The new CEO laid out the steps they've taken towards better QC across the USA models. For one, better lighting to spot issues. Second, the guitars used to go through a stupid number of hands, like 70 pairs, before they're handed to the QC department for final check. Now they've changed the manufacturing sequence, I guess, where they cut the number of touches down by half, and there's a QC check at every stage. For expectation's sake, some of the frets don't look the cleanest, but doesn't affect playability, and it's the only thing that I could really find wrong with this particular unit. And speaking of playability, as you'd expect, the special DC feels very much like the junior DC, and that's a good thing. The slim taper neck with the satin finish is super comfortable. I don't know why glossy necks are still a thing, to be honest. Satin is so much quicker because it doesn't get sticky. The frets are listed as medium jumbo, but I don't know, they still feel relatively low and narrow. It's been a while since I tested out the Junior Tribute DC 2019 with quote-unquote low frets, but honestly, it doesn't feel that much different to me. I was kind of hoping for larger jumbo frets, on the modern collection at least, but these don't even feel like medium jumbo. The new Epiphone DC Pro also has its fret size listed as medium jumbo, and they are noticeably taller and wider, in my opinion easier to play, so I'm not sure what happened there, but in the good news department, the fretwork itself is really good. This has been an issue with Gibson guitars in the past. Even last year, the 40th anniversary, the Paul reissue was my pick for favorite guitar of 2018, despite some slightly sharp fret ends. That's one area where Gibson needed to improve to fully justify the price tag, and if this guitar is any indication, that's exactly what they've done. Every Gibson USA guitar is still plecked at the factory. The frets are level, no sharp ends, no dead spots, no issues. That being said, Gibson has disappointingly, at least for me, dropped the cryogenic fret treatment that they used on the entirety of both the 2018 and 2019 USA lineups. And I say disappointingly for me because personally I thought this was a feature that added a ton of value to Gibson's guitars, but apparently I was in the minority. In a nutshell, cryogenically treated frets felt like standard nickel frets, but claimed to be much stronger, to the point where, in theory, you wouldn't have to refret your guitar for basically the entirety of your lifetime. It's particularly helpful for when a guitar has relatively small frets that might not have that much life in them. Like this one, for example. I've been told the decision to drop the cryogenic treatment stemmed from customer feedback, and I'd love to know more about that reasoning because not having to worry about a refret basically ever seems like an absolute no-brainer to me. Back to the pluses though, because of the double cutaway shape, upper fret access is very easy despite the big traditional blocky set neck joint. In terms of features, the Special Tribute DC sticks to only the basics. There is nothing hidden here. More than most guitars, it's literally just wood with pickups, but it's well-assembled wood with pickups. For $9.99, you do get the Gibson Soft Taco Gig Bag. In terms of protection, it feels pretty good. It's light and portable, and it'll protect your guitar unless you're doing something really stupid, but it does bring back bad memories of the Firebird Zero, which was my first unfortunate experience with this gig bag. For tuners and hardware, we've got a Gibson wraparound bridge and vintage deluxe tuners with white buttons. Gibson wraparound bridges can be hit or miss, but this one is actually quite good. It doesn't pull too far forward, and it's compensated for easy, accurate intonation. These tuners also feel incredibly solid. No problems with looseness or jumpiness or anything like that. New for the Gibson relaunch is that all the new models come with Graphtec Tusk nuts rather than the Tectoids they used for the last couple of years. To be fair, there was nothing wrong with the Tectoid nuts, but Graphtec is my favorite nut supplier, so I'm a fan of that move. The debate will always rage on about what effect nut material has on tone and to what extent, but in terms of tuning stability, I have never had a problem when Graphtec is involved. And the Special Tribute DC is no exception. Tracking demos is always so much easier when I don't have to worry about tuning. You'd be surprised, it's not something you can always count on, and so I'm thankful when guitars make my job easier. Another change is that the input jack location has been moved to the side like you'd find on a regular Les Paul. Last year it was on the front as part of the control layout on the pickguard. Just like with an SG, it's kind of an awkward location if you don't have a right angle jack, so that's good thinking on Gibson's part. The Special Tribute DC comes with two P90 soap bars, and here's what they sound like through the Marshall DSL 100H. P90s are interesting little pickups. They're beefier than single coils, though not quite as full as humbuckers, and they are noisy as fuck. They're not my preferred pickup for metal, but for hard rock, they are incredibly fun. There's something special about how unapologetically raw, aggressive, and almost uncontrolled they sound with a little bit of gain thrown in. It's kind of hard to come up with a meaningful conclusion for this review because by now, you've probably already figured out whether this guitar is for you or not. There are literally no surprises. What you see is what you get. The Les Paul Special Tribute DC, to me, is a representation of the new era Gibson. Customers were huge into the single P90 Les Paul Jr. Tribute DC. It was one of the best performing models from the 2019 collection. Gibson has listened to customer feedback, and this is the result. They haven't tried to fix what isn't broken, but clearly they're hearing people. Input jack on the side rather than the top, a second P90 in the neck position for extra versatility, all while maintaining a sub $1,000 price tag. Though it should be noted that the Junior DC is now $100 more than it was for the 2019 lineup, and this is even $100 more than that. It is a little disappointing that with a price increase, they've ditched the cryogenic fret treatment, and the standard medium jumbo frets still don't feel like they're large enough. But basically, if you want that experience of a well-built USA manufactured Gibson, the Special Tribute DC is worthy of the name on the headstock. The quality is superb. If you've only played Gibsons with questionable QC and ever wondered why Gibson is still the preferred brand of so many guitarists, this seems to be the year to try them out. Even though this is part of the modern collection, I don't really consider it a modern guitar. It still feels very traditional compared to most of the guitars that I feature on the channel from other contemporary brands. That's not a positive or a negative, that's just how it is, but feature-wise, I don't see this guitar winning over many people that aren't already Gibson fans. It's a well-made Gibson, but it is still very much a Gibson in terms of both sound and feel. For people like me that are really into these unassuming, no-nonsense rock machines with traditional aesthetics, it's almost perfect. Almost. It's a modern guitar. Make the frets bigger. So if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and hit the like button. These are of course just my opinions. Feel free to tell me how wrong I am in the comments. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. If you want to support what I do and get exclusive perks, you can check out my Patreon. Thanks to Sam Ash for making this guitar available and to Luke for mixing everything. If you want to support what I do and get exclusive perks, check out my Patreon. Thanks to Sam Ash for making this guitar available and to Luke for mixing everything. Social media and merch links are down below. As always, thanks so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I'll see you for the next video.